Welcome to the Cattle Talk Podcast, your weekly breakdown of cattle market fundamentals, key news, and the insights shaping the industry. Trading commodity futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.
All right, thanks for tuning in today. Reminder to click the link in the description to sign up for our daily market commentary, get some fast insights into the ag markets, and so much more. Also, check out our website at professionalagmarketing.com. All right, today we've got cattle. I've got Nick here. We're going to talk about that. What a day/week in this cattle market, Nick. Let's start with the sell-off that we had occur earlier on in the week, kind of like that Thursday specifically. What did you see moving this market throughout the week, Nick?
Well, I just think we got overbought there, right, Mike? I mean, the funds were buying into this thing thinking that this cash market was going to keep moving higher, you know, that their guys or packers were going to continue to bid up the cattle with the supply situation. And it really just didn't happen, right? We struggled to get to 248, 249, even last week, with the basis as crappy as what it was. Ironically, this week we probably shook some cattle loose with where basis got to, you know, with April trading under 247 there, and cash probably in that 249 live area, 388 in the meat. So, but futures just had a correct here because we and basis was terrible. I mean, we were negative $3 basis, I think, at one point in time there.
So we've normalized ourselves basis-wise a little bit closer up front here. That's why you think specifically like the April, that's why we've been targeting that futures month to kind of keep an eye on it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure if I'd quite refer to it as normalizing basis. I think it was just more or less, you know, the funds lost heart, I guess, in this market because cash didn't keep coming. And we'll see how this goes again next week. You know, the volatility this week shook some cattle loose with basis moving back to $2 to $3 positive, even though cash cattle is relatively steady, right?
Yeah.
From last week, but and we read too, it's been on some plainer cattle that have traded at that 249 area. So, but going into next week, we got to see these boxes start to come up, or we're going to stay here. I mean, Packers aren't going to bid for these cattle if boxes are going to stay here in the low 380s.
Yeah, could you pull up that box beef info there, Cade? Because I think that is significant. Historically, we start to see a rally pretty significantly around May, you would say, on choice.
Yeah, it's plenty early to start seeing a rally in these boxes.
But at these levels, they got to be antsy because we're already up there.
Right. And it does look like earlier in the year, you go back a month ago, 3 weeks ago, we tested some areas and, tested that $400 level and didn't really feel like we can hold it. And I think last year was the same thing. We tested some areas there and couldn't hold it. And, we'll have to see. I mean, people are obviously having to spend a little more on gas today, and there's with the tensions going on, and maybe that's already contributing to some softer beef demand. It's been pretty light volume on what we have been moving, but we'll have to see. I mean, I don't think we're going to get real concerned about it here until 30, 45 days from now if we can't see some rally in these boxes.
It's also scary knowing that the Packers have seen now what the Greeley strike during that time may or may not have done to box beef margins, things like that. Scary for what they saw anyways out of that, just showing what influence that could potentially have on the markets, Nick.
Yeah, it was really hard to see what impact that really had because we're just killing such few cattle the way it is, but that was a big plant, and certainly after they got in gear again, that certainly incentivized the funds to get long, no doubt. Yep. And that was a major contributor to the original futures rally that brought us up $10 to that 252 area in April. But yeah, we just couldn't hold it. And I think next, and then, yeah, I think you're going to talk about it too, Mike, but getting into this, the Brooke Rollins speech there and no movement yet coming out of Mexico. She does have a meeting, I guess, next week, I think, in Arizona, and hopefully there's more discussions on that. But that was probably, how we gained back the futures today, right? Because we're not opening up that border yet.
Very much so. Rollins was attending the groundbreaking ceremony for the Sterile Fly facility there in Edinburgh, Texas. That was today. And that could have been a part of yesterday's weakness too. But I found it very interesting that you got around 952 today, to be exact. The market absolutely fell apart on cattle. It was an astronomical sell-off down near limit levels, and that was about an hour. She started talking at 12 today. It was about an hour before that press conference started, right? So a lot of folks were worried, like, okay, did something leak? What happened? Maybe the algos just got it wrong this time, Nick, because she basically came out and said the border was a big part of it too, that there's been rumors that that was going to get opened partially, maybe even. And she said that definitely is not happening right now. So that was, it was a pretty big sell-off. And then all of a sudden the futures tried to rally their way all the way back and even traded green towards the end of the day at points, but only closing down $1 to $2 on the live cattle across the board, and feeders down a couple bucks as well. So it clawed back a lot of what it lost through the morning. But still a very interesting trade today, to say the least. Nick, any comments on that before we get to cattle on feed?
I don't really think so. I mean, we did experience the same thing, I guess, last August with her speech and not anything opening on the border front either. So I think, the market was anticipating some news there. We didn't get the news, and so it came back. But the market also very much realizes that if when and if we open that border, that is going to shoot some more cattle into the country. Not a tremendous amount right away, probably, but over time, that's probably going to take a little pressure off in the South anyway, off of packers, as there'll be fat cattle that come in, and today those cattle are getting harvested in Mexico, and we're importing that beef. But that could be the little trigger that the market sells off and then slowly grinds lower as we have incoming cattle from Mexico. Now that's not happening yet. That's why we rebounded today. But the market certainly knows that when it does, it's going to have a bearish tone to it.
We'll get another look at this next week when Rollins visits Arizona there. Take a look at the progress that team's been making there in Douglas. In the meantime, cattle on feed came out. What would you have to sum up the cattle on feed report this afternoon? And I know this doesn't have a significant market impact most months, especially by the time you get through the weekend. It seems like the market forgets what we're trading at. What could you tell me about the cattle on feed report today, Nick?
Well, just that, Mike, just that it was very close to expectations. I don't think the market really was looking for any big earth-shattering news from that report today to send it one direction or the other. We all know that we're going to be lower in placements, lower in marketings, and scotch lower in cattle on feed versus a year ago. So I don't think that the markets was really looking for that report for a big change, and it's kind of been that way for some time. Obviously, everything that's going on, like we're talking about with Mexico and also with the funds getting long and then reducing some positions, that's what's really kind of affecting the market. Certainly the war and crude oil as well, but because for a while today, it was hard to find anything on the screen that wasn't red, right? I mean,
it was a rough day for majority besides. Yeah,
for sure.
Some particular things on feed. Everything was in within range. Is very neutral, but on feed 99.5 versus 99.8 average estimate. Placed category 92.7 versus 93.5. That's about as close as that gets to their average estimate, and 94.5 on marketed versus the 93.7 average estimate. So very, very close on everything. We'll be focused on other items here early next week, to say the least. Here next, so a few things to watch out for next week for these cattle producers, you think?
Well, I think, again, we got to be watching these boxes because that's what we're going to need for them to bid up the cattle. And other than that, I think, again, today did give us an opportunity for the basis trader to move some cattle. And so there is going to be, not, I know Nebraska alone's got close to 7,000 head that moved in the cash trade. I'm not sure exactly where we'll end up overall, but does look like Packers got some cattle around them this week, or today, really.
A lot can change in a week. All right. Thank you, Nick, for your time this week. If anyone needs anything else, please reach out to us. We love to chat about the markets here. We appreciate your time this week.